MeWe, MyWi, Wyke, Wheelwise, Wiseheart, Frogface and Zombie Boy, Mill, the Paladin and the Cleric, Clarendon, or as most know it, Byler. I've been a Stranger Things fan since I was 12 or 13. 12, I guess. And I was initially a Maleficent shipper, and then I ended up shipping Byler a couple years later. I first found stuff about Byler around 2019, so I've been shipping it for a while. No Byler shipper has been quite as determined and fearful as Beep Boop 358 on Tumblr, who hasn't posted since, when did I write down? 2022. And I looked on Twitter as well, and I couldn't find an account that was the same username. There was a similar one that has been temporarily restricted. I think it's by the same person because it says it's run by Matt Duffer, which definitely isn't true. I want to revisit this slideshow that I found out about around when it was created in June of 2021, but I'd forgotten about it until I saw a Twitter post talking about how weird this slideshow was because so much of it is gross misanalyzations or just stupid stuff. And so I wanted to revisit it. I will give the disclaimer that I've looked through some of the first few slides already, but I haven't really sat down and looked through in great detail. There are, if I'm remembering correctly, 326 slides. Great, I'm so excited. And we are going to go through it together, revisiting the Byler proof slideshow. Byler, Will Byers and Mike Wheeler. It is undeniably real, and I'm going to explain why in an overwhelming and excruciating amount of detail by Beep Boop 358. If you're new to Byler and don't want to read 300 plus slides, although I recommend you do, here are some highlights. And it's great to have a highlights thing, but it's shocking to me that the van scene isn't mentioned on here, which in my opinion, if you're going to say Byler proof, that's the biggest one. So many people have tried to hack into this? What? What are you what? Okay. I know that most people in the Stranger Things fandom already believe Will is gay, which, now he's been confirmed gay, or at least acknowledge that it is a possibility because of his queer coding. But throughout these slides, you will see that Mike is actually more queer coded than Will is. I agree. And yet, for some reason, most people are resistant to acknowledge that Mike being gay is even a possibility. Also true. Before I get started, I just want to say that this is 300 plus slides long. I don't want to hear anyone say that Byler isn't real and Mike's not gay again, because if there's enough evidence and material to span hundreds of slides, that's pretty telling. There wouldn't be this much evidence if it wasn't real. I'm not necessarily going to say that there aren't 300 plus pieces of evidence for Byler being real, but a lot of these aren't that evidence, and that's a lot of what we're going to talk about. They love to hint at things happening with tiny details and the details of the sets and dialogue, which has been talked about. A costume designer, I think pretty recently, had confirmed that Will and Mike's wardrobes are meant to complement each other. Oh, Lord Jesus. This one I'm so opinionated about. I'll read it, though. Starting with the Season 3 opening Maleficent makeout in Episode 1, the details in Elle's room. The camera slowly pans over the objects in Elle's room, and we see several interesting things. In her room, we see a quick and subtle shot of a drawing of Mike's name with a rainbow on it. The rainbow is attached to a heart on the end. Rainbows are the main symbol of LGBTQ+ pride. I'm aware that rainbows were popular in the 80s, however this is a TV show, and the show has to give viewers clues somehow. This is what I was talking about when I said that these small clues are being read wrong in this slideshow. You cannot remove Elle as a character from her drawings and from her room. Her personality is put into it. And when we look at the drawing, to me it looks to be drawn in crayon or colored pencil. Two drawing utensils that are commonly used by children. Elle has, for the first time in over 10 years, finally been around other people her own age who have gone to school and had relatively normal social lives. What their childhood is very removed from what hers was. So she's having to make up a lot of her childhood while also going through her teenage years. I feel like the choice of crayons or colored pencils or whatever it is for the Mike coloring feels a lot more connected to childhood because of her character than it is necessarily romance. The drawing is childlike. We have colorful hearts and a rainbow and the dots on the letters. That's how children draw. When children have a crush on someone, that's what you see. If you've ever looked through a yearbook from your parents or from when you were young, that's the sort of drawings you do around people you like. I feel like that's a much stronger thing. And also, the rainbow, let's remember that when she was in the lab, rainbows were symbols there. If you're going to make that connection of, like, rainbows equaling gay in this sense, it doesn't, like, then what, is Elle gay? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I think that it's much more of a connection of Elle to childhood to Mike, where Elle views Mike as a part of her childhood and a part of her youth, which is something that has been talked about, that Mike and Elle, their relationship is juvenile, it's childlike, it's that first love scenario that won't really last. I think that's a much more logical thing to talk about, and much more logical take than she's drawing a rainbow so it's gay. Also, a lot of these kids, and I would highly, highly doubt any of these characters know about the pride flag in, when does season 3 take place? 1984? 1985? Okay. That is not a rainbow. That's not a rainbow. Is it bright colors? Yes. Would I call it a rainbow? No. I don't know what, there's this little square that, like, thing that it's representing there. I don't know what I'm supposed to be acknowledging. Is that where the heart thing used to be? I'm confused. And it says, also in this scene in season 3, crush, drink in between Will and Mike. I'm sorry, it's not in between them, really. It's in front of Will. There's more rainbow imagery. Okay, this is just colorful imagery, most of it. And some of this, okay, now my brightness is all the way up. What are you talking about? Earnestly. I don't, the one where Mike's going like, there's no rainbow there. What are you looking at? What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? The details in Elle's room continued. Next, we see a drawing of a D&D character on the wall behind 11. On the wall Mike is facing while they make out. The drawing is of Will the Wise, Will's D&D character, which he even dresses up as later in the season. Drawn by Will and given to Mike. So why is it hanging on 11's wall, and why does it just happen to be the same wall Mike faces when he kisses her? Everything in 11's room is Mike related. There's nothing that references any other party member, so Mike clearly gave Elle this drawing, telling her it was his so she would hang it up, and he could look at it while they kissed her, remind him of Will. I'm with you and he could look at it while they kissed her, remind him of Will. I really doubt that's a conscious thought for Mike in season 3. This is this character who, again, is in the 80s and is a teenager in the 80s. I don't think he's gonna he might feel those feelings, but I don't think would make sense for him to know just yet that those are what those feelings are. I just think the connection is a bit of a stretch, but I do think there's something there about him associating Elle with Will, especially when we talk about the amount of flannels Elle wears and Elle's Will outfit in season 4. Mike with Will's drawings. We like to draw, and Mike has Will's drawings hung up all over, I like this one a lot actually, hung up all over his basement. In season 1, there are 5 of Will's drawings hung up. In season 3, there are 6. Mike has hung another one up. In season 3, we see his old posters change to something more mature, but Will's drawings don't go anywhere. There's still several of Will's drawings hung up, plus a binder full of his others. There's nothing even remotely 11 related in Mike's basement. His room is not shown at all in season 2/season 3, yet her room is covered in pictures of him, dice that spelled his name, and references to him. I like this a lot because it connects to a point I was making earlier about Elle and childhood. She has not, in season 3, she has not fully left her childhood behind because she is having to really experience childhood at the same time as her teenage years. The way she interacts with Mike romantically has a juvenileness to it, versus Mike, where we see the signs of maturity for Mike, and with that change, Will is still there. He's not just a symbol of childhood. He's a symbol, symbol's maybe a strong word. He's someone who's in Mike's life and taking a strong importance in Mike's life as he matures and as he goes through puberty and enters adulthood. Back to the season 3 opening 11 makeout in episode 1, the kiss. Why aren't we putting that? Okay, I guess we're just gonna jump back to it. Great. I mean, I do that, but for a slideshow it feels a little, As the camera pans to Mike and 11, we see 11 put her hands on Mike, and he takes them off. Okay, I remember this slide. They're dating, they're supposedly madly in love. Why doesn't he want her to touch him, and why doesn't he want to touch her? What straight man would take his girlfriend's hands off of him? Okay. This... What straight man would take his girlfriend's hands off of him? It's this implication that straight men are inherently incredibly sexual and incredibly obsessive over women, especially their girlfriends. And I don't think that's great. I don't think it's great to imply that, men can't say no, which is a bit of a stretch of what I'm saying is a bit of a stretch, I know. But after Mike removes Eleven's hands, he breaks the kiss pulling away. He starts to cheesily belt out in a song. Interesting. There are two important parallels here already to doomed or failed couples. The only other people to cheesily sing together in a one-on-one scenario are Steve and Robin after she comes out to him. This couple can never work because one of them is gay. Yes. Steve also sings to Nancy in a one-on-one scenario in season 1. This couple can never work because one of them is not in love. Confirmed in season 2, Nancy does not love Steve. More on this later. The only other people to cheesily make out on a bed to cheesy 80s music are Steve and Nancy, who we all know broke up. This couple can never work because one of them is not in love. You already said that. You already said that. The opening makeout continued. Eleven says she doesn't like Mike singing, and they go back to kissing. Mike, just like before, keeps his arms folded in his lap, but Eleven reaches for him again, and then the shot quickly shifts to an angry Hopper eating potato chips in a chair. We'll get to the second line there in a minute, but I think this is an example of Eleven being very childlike as a character. I say that because I think of small children, like really little kids, and they're very grabby. The concept of personal space and personal boundaries, like physical boundaries, isn't super established yet. And it's not surprising that Eleven doesn't have this established because, again, she was in an isolated lab for 12 years. Of course, there are things she doesn't know and a different approach to it. Of course, her brain has matured a lot, but these social norms she hasn't developed yet. So it feels a lot more about this one character sort of stuck in childhood while the other is growing up and maturing. I think that's something that should be unpacked a lot more. Mike and Will's, and I haven't seen this slide, so we're getting into the parts I haven't seen. Their conversation during the movie theater scene is almost identical to the one Mike has with Eleven in season 1 when she hides in Mike's closet. Mike's mom comes home, so he puts Eleven in his closet. Then he has a coded coming out scene with his mom. More on this later when we get to season 1. It's yet another parallel, not to a couple that can never work, but to two people who like each other. Mike is supposed to be deeply in love with Eleven. I mean, no, we established in season 4 that that's not the case, but okay. So it's significant that he has almost the same conversation he has with Elle, with Will, when they're literally glancing at each other's lips in a public place. From the movie theater, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we've established that 8flix isn't a good source. Didn't we have a whole 8flix scandal in like 2021, 2022? That alone. Next slide. Okay, I remember, oh my god. There are some of the photos here, and I'll make them bigger. There was I think a hand-holding gate. You know, there's Lover's Lake gate. There's a joke one on Tumblr right now that's all I want for Christmas is you gate. There were so many people who were they have to be holding his hands in this scene, because how else are they positioned? And I get it. I would love if we could confirm that, but I doubt it will ever be confirmed. The sauna test. Mike has an idea to find out if Billy really is the new host. He shouts, oh my god. He shouts, I have an idea. Boys only. Not super subtle there, duffers. The camera then shows Mike, Will, and Lucas going into the locker room with Mike leading the way, panning up to the men sign above the door. What do you mean? So Mike, Will, and Lucas are going to the locker room. So if Lucas is also going into the locker room, are we implying he's gay? I don't know. Of course the men are going to go into the men's room. I don't understand. The sauna test. As Mike further describes his plan, he opens the sauna room door to a bunch of naked old men. Notice how he looks disgusted. Will just has a look of gay panic on his face. No, he doesn't. He looks horrified. Am I insane for this? He looks horrified. Mike looks scared, conflicted, and ashamed. Yeah, because he is looking at naked old men, and he wasn't expecting it. Of course you're gonna feel weird about that. You're gonna feel guilty that you suddenly walked in on these naked old men. What? Kind of think thoughts of his future self and life as gay man flash through his mind here. What? They all just look deep, and also, like, Lucas also looks deeply, deeply uncomfortable. They all look so awkward and uncomfortable. What are you talking about? What? Okay. More. I think I just threw up in my mouth. Is what Lucas says. Mike and Will do not respond to his comment, and instead Mike turns in another direction and starts walking, explaining more of his plan, eager to get away from the subject, pretend like it never happened, and move on. Yeah, why? He does not want to acknowledge what just happened, just like he doesn't want to acknowledge his feelings for Will. These are... Oh my lord. Though, okay, listen to me. It's just a comedic moment. It's just a comedic moment they put in the show. Season 3 is pretty widely known by the Stranger Things fandom to be sort of a filler season that's a lot more comedic and a lot more light. It's just a comedy. It's just for funnies. The lingerie store, the boys go to the mall to find things to get Elle and Max to apologize, and they stumble into a lingerie store. Notice how Lucas leads the way. He's in front of their triangle formation, while Mike and Will stand beside him, side by side. Lucas leads the way up to the lingerie store, and Mike and Will follow him. Lucas is the straight one. We haven't confirmed he's straight either, but okay. So him leading here makes sense. Also the lingerie scene and the sauna test scene, where Mike leads the way to a steamy room of naked men, where Will and Lucas stand behind him in a triangle formation, majorly juxtaposes this scene. They both revolve around sexuality, maturity, and growing up, but the difference is in who leads and how they all react for the feminine version of this lingerie store versus the masculine sauna test is very clear. I disagree because of the tone of each scene, or not so much the tone, but the setup, where they, in the lingerie scene, are not walking in on people who they did not know would be there and invading privacy. Accidentally invading privacy. And I think the sauna scene has a lot more to do with that than the lingerie scene. But I do agree that there's a lot happening here. And also, again, Lucas also looks uncomfortable. Right? We agree? Good. Mike gay panicking. Mike looks at Will right after he sees the lingerie as the boys start to walk away. After he sees women's lingerie and looks scared, his first instinct is to look at Will and check on how he is reacting, / just to look at him. You've no proof that it's how to see how he's reacting or just to look at him. The tweets. Okay. I want to talk about the Stranger Things account. Twitter account. And also the Stranger Writers account. Or Stranger Things Writers. Whatever it's called. Those are not, listen to me, those are not run by actual writers of the show. Think about it. They're run by people who probably work for Netflix. Not probably, definitely work for Netflix. Maybe work on Stranger Things as well. They are not people who know everything that's going to happen in the show. Okay? Okay. Malevolent breakup versus the Byler fight. These scenes could show dark juxtaposition between the two for direct comparison. Mike and Levin's breakup is shown and treated much differently than Mike and Will's fight, and we're not supposed to ignore the differences. Yes, okay. The girls catch the guys at the mall, and they confront Mike about lying that he couldn't see Elle because his Nana was sick. He continues lying about why he lied, and then Elle dumps him. Mike looks confused, startled, and even a little annoyed, not really devastated and hurt. Steve and Nancy also have their big breakup fight in Season 2, Episode 2, and Malevolent breaks up in Season 3, Episode 2. That's more about story progression and how screenwriting works, but I hope they mention it, but I'm going to mention it myself in case they don't. Color grading. It is setting a completely different tone, where the Malevolent breakup is very light and colorful, bright, versus the Byler fight, which is, dark and gloomy, it's raining. There's much more of this association with sadness, and this is a heavy scene than with the Malevolent breakup. Nancy practices swinging a baseball bat in the garage in Season 1. That's probably Mike's bat. You have no proof. It could be Ted's. It could be Ted's. It could be Ted's baseball bat. Have you considered it could be Ted's? Or Karen's. I don't think it would be Holly's because she's so little in Season 1. Or Nancy, probably not because she's practicing it, but consider Ted. Mike has probably played baseball at some point. You have no proof. There may have been some encouragement from Mike's father. Again, you don't know this. You don't have enough proof to bring this. Ted to season 2 at the dinner table. It's strike 20. You're on the bench, son. Sure there, but that's what makes me think more that it could be Ted's baseball bat, because we don't have enough proof to say that it could be Mike's. We don't have anything to explicitly tie Mike to baseball. Steve's baseball bat with the nails. The bat is originally created by Jonathan in the Byers' house from their stuff, so it's the Byers' bat. Probably Jonathan or Will's from when Lonnie tried to get Will, and maybe Jonathan too, to like baseball. So that connects it back to Will and Lonnie's connection to the bat, and the bat representing heteronormative standards. I think there could be something cool there that I don't think, let me check really quick. They're not going to talk about, okay. About the destruction of it. Putting the nails in it is destructing and breaking apart that heteronormative ideal and using that heteronormative ideal as a weapon. Mick's apology to Will versus 11. He bikes across town to Will's house in the dark, pouring rainstorm, bringing Lucas with him. Mike bangs on Will's front door, yelling that he is sorry. When there's no answer, he doesn't give up and leave. Mike leads the way to look for him out back, still yelling Will's name. Mike does this in season 2 as well, frantically bangs on Will's door, asking if Will is okay. I will say Mike definitely cares more about Will than 11, but I don't know if it counts necessarily as a point for Byler, or it feels more like a point that he does not love Elle and is sort of keeping himself in this relationship that isn't healthy, versus his way of talking to Will is the way you would talk, not just to a partner, but to a friend. Like a very earnest, kind-hearted apology is very different than what he gives Elle. There's this conversation about, Mike is a bad boyfriend to Elle, but he's not just a bad boyfriend, he's a bad friend to her. Like, the way he treats her is not okay, versus how we see Max and Will and Jonathan treat Elle is so vastly different. I think unpacking the sort of subtle misogyny Mike has towards women is something that would be really interesting to see more of, because he's also really unkind to Max. And Nancy a lot of the time as well. Like, I think there's a lot more to be unpacked there, where, yes, he can be queer, but also how he treats women is different from the other characters. It's different from how Dustin treats women, and Lucas treats women, and Will treats women. I don't think it has to do with him being gay. I think it has much more to do with misogyny. The world motif. The idea of world is a constant theme in the show. It's mainly used to indicate differences and show incompatibility/compatibility depending on if they are from the same world or not. 11 is meant to be the ET of the show. Yes, and Yes. Yes, and Finn loves to mention E.T. He loves to mention E.T. I agree. And this is especially obvious in season 1. The Duffers wrote it into the show's original pitch, and confirmed this again post-season 1 and post-season 3 interviews. Yes! World references in the show. And also, it connects to childhood, I'm just gonna say, where E.T. is treated sort of like a small child. He's with all the toys and the stuffed animals. Elle, so much of her arc is going to be about her maturing and finding herself outside of childhood and outside of the societal norms people put on her, because that's so much of what Stranger Things is about. It's about societal norms and how these characters are breaking out of them. They're the weird kids, and Elle is also one of the weird kids. Max is weird in that she's more into sports and she's into video games, and Elle, it's that she's more childlike, and that's okay, and how she matures is not going to be like the other characters, and that's okay, and she's going to have to find her own place in the world, outside of both the lab and the societal norms pushed onto her. Yeah, I went on a tangent. 11 dressed up as a ghost, not a ghostbuster in season 2. Okay. I hope she doesn't die, because I feel like the implication there is that, like, they're gonna kill her. What the hell? The blink makes you crazy. I think that if we're gonna use the word crazy, we need to talk about the crazy together scene. It needs to be talked about more in the it makes you crazy. I think I've found something a little better for me. It's crazy. Crazy and love have a connection to each other in this show. You cannot separate it. Stupid. Nancy and Jonathan season 1 references. Stupid is supposed to represent what being crazy in love makes you act like, but that love is always one-sided in all the stupid references, and doesn't appear to be equally reciprocated by one person, even when the character's not aware of it. I like that a lot, actually, where stupid is this, separation versus crazy is this connection. I like that. I like that a lot. The bears in the show represent Will. I have to explain this now so the end of season 3 makes sense. Bear symbolism. Bears are associated with Will. Bears are also symbol for wisdom, like Will the Wise, Will's D&D persona. Hold on. Are we sure about that? Is this your only source? blog.kashinahouse.com? Do you have other... It feels like you don't have real... You have a triplemoonpsychotherapy.com. I think you need a better source, honey. Okay. Back to this. Like, bears are a symbol for wisdom, like Will the Wise, Will's D&D persona. Will has a bear in his room in season 1 that later appears in key scenes of season 3. Basically, Will is the bear. I think... Okay. I'm gonna read the rest and then I'll give my opinion. Following Lucas's direction, Lucas tells Mike he needs to get something to apologize to Elwith. Lucas brings Mike and Will to the mall to find an apology gift for Eleven. Mike wants to get this little gold teddy bear before he realizes he doesn't have enough money for it. The teddy bear in the store represents Will. It's wearing a bow tie, signifying the bear is male. I didn't even think about that. You know why? Because it's a goddamn teddy bear with a little bow on it. And there are lots of... I think I have stuffed animals over by my bookshelf that are girls. They came with names, Laura and Esther, and they have little bows on them. Does that mean they're boys? Does that mean they're boys? It is meant to show how no matter how hard Mike tries to push away his feelings for Will, they're still there and he can't escape them. It's the first thing he wants to get Eleven to apologize for lying about his Nana being sick, and we know Mike has no problem apologizing to Will. So it's no coincidence his interest is piqued by male bear, that's not how you do piqued, at the mall that represents Will. I think the bear represents Mike. I think if we're going to say it represents a character, I think it's Mike. If we're going to go with this whole Byler thing, it represents Mike, and he's giving a part of himself to Eleven. Music coding. Employees for the show. Employees for the show? Crew? Sound people? Employees? Girl, you know nothing. They spend months trying to find the right music for a scene to make sure it says what they want it to and that it fits right. So we can't underestimate or brush off subliminal messages in the music as looking too much into things. We have to fully understand the scene and the characters in it. For example, Peter Gabriel's cover of Heroes is playing when they pull Will's fake body out of the lake, and after Hopper's letter is over. This music is only played 2 times, both times it's played after a character's supposed death, who later turned out to be alive. I think it's also interesting that it's a song called Heroes, when in season 4, Will is like, "You guys saved me," and Mike's like... Music coding Byler, because just a little more time could open closing doors. Closet imagery, I think it's also... That's what, season 3 we're saying? Yeah, because just a little more time could open closing doors. I feel like that talks a lot more about how Mike and Will's relationship is not doing well in season 3. It's not good. So it's a little more time together, because Will ends up leaving for California at the end of season 3, could open the closing doors, especially when, there's not enough time for them to really heal the relationship. So then when Mike goes out to California in season 4, we see a lot of tension in their relationship, and it's this thing of would more time together have helped save that? And I think yes, I think we do see it get a lot better in season 4 once they've had a little more time together. Almost cheats on, oh my god, this is One Piece. Kieran in season 3 almost cheats on her husband with someone named Billy. Someone named, Max's brother Billy, which is a common name for William. Listen, what do I keep saying? You cannot subtract the characters from the scenarios they are in. Billy is Max's stepbrother. Right? Stepbrother, not half-brother? Yeah. Which could mean you could also imply that Mike is into Max. I would ship Mad Wheeler if I didn't think Mike was gay. Mike and the gay man's flag. Again, here's my thing. The gay man's flag wasn't invented until... Toothpaste flag thoughts with Fern. Okay. Hey, hello there, it's me, Deb, your mutual probably... You're not my mutual, I'm just trying to figure... Okay, the Listerine flag was made in 2017 in the Tumblr post below. Okay. I feel like this is a slightly better source because you have an image of it starting. Great, thank you. That's what I needed. It's so recent, a lot of people still don't know about it. I would doubt creators of the show know about it. A lot of what you're pointing out is stuff from season 1, which was filmed in 2015. I'm like 99% sure 2015, and if not 2015, 2014. So 2 years before the gay men's flag was created / invented, before the Listerine flag, before the toothpaste flag. So that doesn't work. Fruity imagery. I saw this one on Twitter and I was so interested in it because it's so dumb. I'm sorry, it's so dumb. Season 3, in the grocery store scene, all the couples stand next to each other, but Mike and Will are the only two sitting in the fruit section, which is commonly used as slang for gay men or LGBTQ plus people. That's just not true. I can't zoom in, but from what I can see, it looks like Max is in front of watermelons. We can't see what Lucas is in front of. And then Nancy and Jonathan are in front of vegetables, and Eleven's on the floor. There's so much you could pull from that, and I'm not going to, but come on. Come on! Also, just to confirm where they're sitting is not a coincidence. Elle's sitting in front of a freezer full of Eggos. Yes, it's a continued imagery. Again, childhood. Season 2, behind Will and Mike in the AV room is a rainbow apple. It's a forbidden fruit metaphor, as well as a reference to gay slang and to Alan Turing, who was the father of computers and a gay man, as their hands almost touch on the table. That's the old Apple logo. And to Alan Turing, who was the father of computers, was a reference to Alan Turing being a gay man and the father of computers, is in season 4, when Will has the poster talking about Alan Turing. That's... No. We got through seasons 3 and 2, meaning we have seasons 1 and 4 left on the slideshow, which I would say there's probably about the same amount of slides. So I'm going to edit the first part. I'm going to try to get it uploaded by July 7th. If I did that correctly, I'm going to put confetti on screen. If not, womp womp. Subscribe to me. Like this video if you like it. I have a Twitter and a Tumblr. They're also linked on my, my About on YouTube. So you should follow me. You should see what I do. I think I'm funny. Do you think I'm funny? You should tell me if you think I'm funny. Happy Byler Day. Bye-bye.